Welcome to another episode of the Cat Breeding for Beginners podcast. I'm Pamela and I breed British Shorthairs in Perth, Western Australia. I have a real passion for cat breeding and exhibiting, and I want to share my knowledge and experience with you. I'm on a mission to help new cat breeders go from feeling intimidated, confused and having trouble getting started to confidently breeding happy and healthy cats whilst enjoying this amazing hobby. Before we get started, make sure you visit my website and download your copy of my helpful guide, Advice to New Breeders, where experienced breeders share some great tips they wish someone told them when they started breeding. You can find the link on my homepage at www.catbreedingforbeginners.com. Just look for the picture of Angelica with her kittens. I sometimes think of my podcast as being a bit of a public service announcement, a bit of an education tool for new breeders about the kinds of things that you don't hear about, so you can't be prepared for when you start breeding. And one of the things that I'm always talking about, and for this very reason, is cat pee. And the reason I talk about that a lot is because it's something that you are going to come up against, and it's a big deal when you're a cat breeder. Now, I know every time I talk about things like this, there's people that pop their heads up and say, my cat's never done that. I've had this amount of cats for this amount of years and we've never had a problem like that. And I think when people do talk like that, I often think, well, you have a special unicorn for a cat, or you have a house that's covered in cat pee. And it's really something that people don't really know coming into this hobby. But the simple fact is, breeding cats, male and female, will spray, will mark, and will pee on things. They just will. Now, if you've never had this happen, that's great. Good for you. I'm very happy for you. But when it does start to happen, it can be a really huge deal. And it's often the thing that will push people to the edge and have them give up on the hobby. And I'll give you an example. One of the newbies in my new cat breeders club, when she contacted me, she was desperate. She didn't actually want to join the club. She didn't actually want to help with the cat breeding. She wanted help to de-sex her cats and get out of cat breeding. And the reason was because her cats were peeing on everything. They peed on the toaster. They peed on her kids' school bags. Her husband put his t-shirt on one morning and they peed on that in the clean laundry. It was crazy. They were peeing everywhere. And this was female cats too. And luckily for her and for her cats, when she did contact me, I talked to her and helped her through it. And she did join my new cat breeders club. And she recently posted a litter of beautiful kittens, absolutely beautiful kittens. But she worked out a way to enclose her cats and to keep them from running around the house peeing on things. And the cats are happier, her family is 1,000 times happier, and her belongings are not getting peed on. But it's something that just doesn't get shared. So I want to tell you all, if you're a new breeder listening to this podcast, be prepared for pee. Because entire cats, and the conversation came up again this morning in the club, another one of my newbies had de-sexed one of her cats who was a notorious peer. And as soon as she de-sexed her, the other cat started peeing. And we were thinking, well, what the hell is that all about? And what it's about is hormones. It all comes down to hormones, and it's not an issue, mostly not an issue with de-sexed cats, or they can have different issues with peeing. And that's the thing, we sometimes rely on that information that's out there for the general pet public about cats that are peeing in the house. And that's actually not such good advice when it comes to breeding cats, because the one thing that's missing in the conversation there is the hormones. And they're the things that are driving this behaviour. Absolutely. Your inside cats might pee because they're stressed, might pee because of other cats outside looking at them, that kind of stuff. That's not why your breeding cats are peeing. Your breeding cats are peeing because they have hormones that are telling them to do it, basically. And you can't get rid of them unless you want to de-sex them. So you need to work out how to live with that. And you can't live with it. You can't just live with it. Like my example of my newbie that had her cats running around peeing on everything. And it's funny because I've also put a post up on my Facebook page and asked, what's the weirdest thing your cat's peed on or the worst thing your cat's peed on? And I was horrified by some of the stories. Horrified, but so many mattresses. They peed on my kid's bed and we had to throw the whole bed away. Please, everybody, public service announcement, buy a mattress protector, a waterproof one for every bed that you have in your house. It'll save you thousands of dollars. But that's the thing, you have to either make it so that the things you have won't be damaged, or you have to make it so the cats don't have access to them. And that's why I always bang on about housing your breeding cats, being prepared to house your breeding cats. Maybe when you get your first breeding cats, you don't have this problem. But the moment that you do have this problem, you are going to need to work out how to house them. And if you have to work that out on the fly, if you have to work that out today because the cat's peed everywhere for the last week, it's really difficult, it's really stressful, it's a really big drama. If you've already got it worked out before that happens, it's a simple matter of taking that cat and moving it to the new space. So that's why I think that when you first start breeding, while your cats are kittens even, you need to start thinking about how am I going to house these cats if I have a problem. Now that might be that you have a space in your house where you can actually contain them. Maybe you have 2 bathrooms in your house, but you only use one of them, and maybe the other one is available to use. Maybe you have an outside enclosure for your cats to go out during the day, and maybe it's possible for that to now become a permanent space for one of the cats or a couple of the cats. Maybe you have actually decided to create a cattery. Maybe you have a garage that you can convert. And that's another great thing about my newbies in my new Cat Breeders Club that I absolutely love seeing. They share what they're doing in that regard. We have post after post of here's my garage that's been converted. Here's my back shed that's been converted. Here's, the space that we've set up. The example I've been talking about, she actually used her loft and had it enclosed with netting. Really creative uses of space in order to contain their breeding cats in a way that makes it manageable. Because you can't just live with them running around peeing on everything. You just can't. I mean, the day that they pee on some really important documents, you're going to absolutely lose your cool. So my point today really is be prepared and be prepared early. You don't have to be using that space. You don't have to have converted that space, but you have to have it in mind. You have to be ready to act if you need to. And when your cats do start peeing on things, I really hope for your sake it's not something important. I hope they just pee on a bath mat, something that can just go in the wash. But that's your signal. That's your signal that it's time to start thinking about where am I going to put these guys. So I hope that was helpful. I'm sure that you will get many more podcasts from me about cat pee, cat poop, all of the things. But I really want to share that with you because I'm all about the being honest about what it actually is to be a cat breeder and how much, drama there is involved with that. And I hope it was helpful. So there you go. Thanks for listening. Make sure you visit www.catbreedingforbeginners.com where you can find articles, guides, courses and more. Plus, make sure you check out my amazing new Cat Breeders Club. It's a supportive space where new cat breeders can learn, share and help each other. I only take new members a few times a year, so sign up to make sure you don't miss out.